and gentlemen, I present to you America's top foundational health coach, Dr. Joe D.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Jody Beer, and welcome to another episode of Doctor Talk. Come play in our health sandbox. I'm known as America's top foundational health coach and holistic nutritionist with over 30,000 clients that have been able to achieve 1 million pounds of toxic fat lost. Also in the COVID era, over 3,000 have reclaimed, restarted, and renewed their lives. And we've done this in all 6 pillars of human awareness: physical, mental, emotional, social, financial, and the one that tops them all, spiritual. And during this time, I can truthfully say it is truly that the body put in the right condition will and can heal itself. My personal quote: health is not something you do, but it's what you become. Long life's journey epitomizes this panel of experts. Les Brown says it is possible. Only you can do what you can do. Know that it is you that unlocks the keys to the kingdom and no one else. So be health. No, it's impossible. If it's possible for me, I'm possible. You are possible too. And I can tell you, Dr. Talk was absolutely birthed. This is our 4th episode. We've been on here a quarter. And with Trevor's TV and now on local Orlando, CBS affiliate Channel 55, we have had just an absolute riveting time of experiences. And it's going to be one of those active times too, because when people are unconscious competent, it means that these absolute amazing people are just naturally, they come up with what they want to say and what we're going to do and their distinct modality, whether it be traditional medicine, the healing arts, health coaching and nutrition, whether it gets into something as sophisticated as biohacking or the super sophisticated, going ahead and doing NLP with chiropractic work, mental wellness, addiction recovery, or in the social equivalent, as we all do. This was all birthed out of my story and my experience. In 1985, I was a young health coach. I was thinking, what can I do? I wanted something to do for my youngest son, who obviously he had his mother's brain genetically, but also he had testosterone to deal with, and they diagnosed him as ADHD. Oh, no. Not somebody even that just had a 1 certified coach and health coaching, just 1 certification in 3 years. I said, this isn't going to work. And I knew that there was something more. And I attracted with the law of attraction, just like I've attracted these amazing people. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of them. I attracted Dr. Hulda Clark into my life. It's pretty funny because I just turned 60 done. I know it's 69, but I gave it a new name this month. It's 60 done. Hulda Clark was 72 years old. She seemed ancient, but she was so wise. I'm not ancient, but I hope you hear my wisdom. Here she was. I saw her on Dr. Phil. Next thing I know, she's 45 minutes away from me in Metro Atlanta. I went up with her. She says, I'm going to take you in. Why do I say this? Because at my age, I'm taking in people that are the next generation of healers that want to learn this foundations of health, not from a half-holistic way, but from a holistic way. They come into my life to just mentor and encourage and to bring them in as an intern. It's been an amazing journey these last 6 months. But back to my story. I'm with Dr. Hulda Clark. She decides to take me on. And of course, my youngest son didn't end up having any medication. We did it through behavior modification, diet, and then I found the exercise of swimming, which slowed his brain down. I found meditation that made him sleep better, since today's situation and our topic is insomnia. And he goes to the highest ranks and earning a silver medal in the Olympics in 2004. It was a bevy of success. And I ran across these notes in 2020, as we were cleaning out closets, what else were we to do? There's just so many Netflix that you can watch during the pandemic and the lockdown. I was cleaning out my office closet. I ran across the treasure trove of these notes from Dr. Hulda Clark. And in there, it said, this note card, 1985, I will assist to pen the PDR for Eastern medicine. And it starts today. We're actively seeking authors that want to co-author, like some of these panelists are going to do in the Foundations of Health. The AMA is a great situation and great society. And I'm so grateful that Dr. Caxton O'Perry is here, being a part of the medical community. The AMA maybe isn't better. They are partners and they know some things better. I wouldn't go to a health coach if I had a broken arm. But this is what I know. They're more organized. So we're bringing together the great thought leaders, the great people in pillars of human existence to do this. So reach out, look at my Facebook. It is everywhere. But now I want to introduce this wonderful bevy of people, these humans that I knew would be and have been a perfect fit because of their expertise, their commitment, and their professionalism, both more than anything else. What I've noticed along this 4-month journey is their hearts. Dr. Mike Van Thelen of Ormond Beach, Florida, holistic nutritionist. He is a genomics expert, and he's going to be talking about biohacking today. He is also a world record holder, author, speaker, and just a great partner of mine extraordinaire. Dr. Bill Janicek, I met online. I still can't believe, Dr. Bill, that we haven't met yet. I just feel like I've gotten a chiropractic hug from you. But he is from Yorba Linda, Florida. That's why you need to move here. Yorba Linda, California. And he integrates NLP. What an awesome modality into chiropractic care with functional neurology, functional medicine, rehabilitate, and stress management. Dr. Michael Pierce would be back with us next month on the 23rd of March. He is doing an on-site certification right now. Dr. Caxton O'Perry, my brother from another mother, in the field of meeting him through the iconic Les Brown. He is from Dallas, Texas, board certified internal medicine doctor, frontline COVID MD, creator of the modality that the AMA recognizes now as divorce medicine. That's one with stress that you need a little sleep help from. Now, isn't that true? Renee Brown from Salt Lake City, Utah, president and co-founder of Next Level Recovery. She is a sober living business owner coming straight from the heart for sure. She offers an integrative and natural approach in delivering the best quality of healthcare in mental health, substance abuse, addiction, and does it with sustainable life skills. And Natasha Holliday, we grabbed her from the classroom. She had a break from her college professorship today. We're so glad that she's back. Clinical sociologist and college professor. She brings humor, maybe even today, into those sleepless nights. So after our commercial break from our sponsor, Confidence Tones, we'll get right in to insomnia. As Dr. Bill said last month, this is a topic that you won't sleep through. So let's hear and experience Confidence Tones, one of our sponsors here on Healthopedia and Dr. Talk.
Welcome to Confidence Tones, where we use a proprietary audio development formula called audio immersion to provide an experience that's designed to help quickly and effortlessly generate positive change in the subconscious mind when used correctly. This experience is achieved using 4 primary building blocks: brainwave modulation, invocation of positive emotions, immersive imagination stimuli, and developmental suggestion. We know of no other source in the world that provides the synergistic combination. With a good pair of headphones, you'll be able to immerse yourself into audio that's designed specifically to help you feel better, do better, and live better.
So I can tell you, this was a big deal for me for me, for real, this last month about, and that's why I decided to bring in this confidence tones into the mix today. You'll see it on the bottom. You'll also see the revolving banner of being a part. We're getting sponsorships because it is expensive to do this, and it's nice to partner with people that are getting great value, see the great benefit of something such as confidence tones. So take a look, take a listen, confidencetones.com. And frankly, what I know is that it will make a difference in your life, the way you feel and the way you do better to feel better, and you will be better. Now, what I wanted to bring in today was something that was my personal experience of going ahead and having a situation where we have mold. Now, let's take a look. I see comments. People are really enjoying what we're doing here, and I know that it's a big deal to get comments from you all. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get a real course in how to go ahead and bring you all up at the same time. There we go. I knew I'd find it, but at any rate, I'm going to go first here because I had an experience. This is my story, my quick 4-minute story. My husband and I, and Dr. Mike knows it well. Dr. Mike Van Thielen, he's been to our home several times, and we have got stuff. 55 years of living with an archaeologist, one-of-a-kind stuff. Well, Hurricane Ian, they didn't repair our roof right. I knew it wasn't correct. 4 months later, we had a horrific leak. It was like Niagara Falls one night 5 weeks ago in our house. We've got mold, not only in our closet, in our bedroom, in the bathroom, shower stall. It goes out to, Dr. Mike, take a listen, out to the laundry room and the garage of a 3,200 square feet house. We now have mold in 1,500. Now, as time goes, and this is our world, guys. We think about insomnia. How does this tie in? We think chamomile tea, de-stress, meditate, and whatever. But how about the environment around us? I was doing nutritionally. I've been doing a liver detox. It's the Broyce cure. Doing beet soup, beets, carrots, potatoes, and celery. Just continuing to clean out my liver. Went ahead because we didn't know how long it was going to take until they approved the remediation. Well, it hit because, as you well know, Dr. Mike, probably Dr. Caxton in Texas as well, it's gotten warm. And we kicked on the air conditioning. And because of what was circulating mold, who've had, and this is, you don't have to have a diagnosis. As Les Brown says, your diagnosis is not your prognosis. I had exercise-induced asthma. Now it doesn't bother me at all. Tuesday night, because we used the air conditioning on Monday, I'm telling you, everything I did, taken melatonin, taken valerian, went to ashwagandha, had taken my time to meditate. Nothing. Now, is this an ad for our sponsor, Confidence Tones? Absolutely. You see what you get with Dr. Talk. You get these great tools because you don't know what you don't know until you know. And what happened is that I laid on my Megan bed, which is a bed that creates acupressure massage and infrared heat. And then I'm thinking, let's see, something that I created here. How about confidence tones? As I consulted in the brain entrainment, I know the sophysio and isochronic tones in and with this modality. Well, guess what? I was able to turn it on, the brain entrainment, even at 3:00 in the morning, I got 3 hours of sleep. So please keep in mind environmental toxins. Not only is it stress-induced, insomnia can be physical, it can be mental, emotional, but always remember the environmental component. And guess what? After I realized that I could put level 6 kind of saran wrap, the level 6 that they do in car doors, that break, I put it over those windows, put it over there, sealed the door shut, and I slept like a baby. So more on this, but I know that it can, no matter whether you have issues with pain, and that will create insomnia, emotional, mental, spiritual, you name it, relationships. What we built in Confidence to Tones, and I can say it's not my company, but what I assisted in, there are modalities for every single one of these things. It's NLP to the next. So I just never really shared with something like that. And I thought it was important as we move on through and what we do. So from here to me, from Jody, we're going to go on and hear from the medical expert, Dr. Caxton. What say you? Let's give us your best, Dr. Caxton.
Have you, Dr. Bill, Dr. Mike, Miss Natasha, and Renee. Nice to have you all. It's an honor to be here with you. You know, I like people to walk away without a presentation, with something of substance that they can use. Now, if we talk about insomnia, for those who are not familiar with the term, and some of the audience may not have any healthcare affiliations, insomnia just means lack of sleep. Just like anemia, lack of enough blood. Insomnia, lack of sleep. What I want you to focus on is if you don't sleep, number one thing, on a practical scale, you increase your risk of having a motor vehicle accident if you're driving. And we now have gadgets that can be used to track your sleep, even in your car. I've rented cars that I've not even put all the data about my phone, and I start driving the car, and the car tells me, you need to stop the car and get some sleep. I know insurance companies are going to be able to take advantage of that. In the event that even though they're supposed to cover your accident, they say, but you were supposed to get sleep, and the car has built-in telemetry to show that you've not slept. Let's go to the second part, burnout. A lot of people don't understand that even the best of the best, the Olympians, who are a measure of human development and capacity, every day they get a minimum of 8 hours. 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Now, everyone knows an Olympian is a high performer. And if a high performer gets 8 hours of sleep, and you're looking at Elon Musk saying, well, I know Elon Musk works 120 hours a week, you're going to run your body down. You're going to burn out. You're not going to be able to make critical decisions when it's most important, either for your marriage, for your kids, on the job and business. There's some subtle elements of your health that are gradually eroded and destroyed if you don't get enough sleep. Now, as Jody mentioned, there are a number of elements, environmental, physiological, within your body or based on your biology, that may hinder you being able to sleep. It's only an outlier that will be able to boast of not getting more than 6 hours a night and be able to function. And I usually take that back and say the reason you think you're able to function well at 4 hours of sleep is because you've never really pushed the button to your capacity and development, and take some time off, get enough sleep, and come back to the reality. Your body physiology is adversely affected when you don't get enough sleep. You're more likely to develop diabetes, high blood pressure, and insomnia has been associated with suicide and depression. And the only real question I have for you is, most of the time I'm in the hospital, I work nights, so you can imagine, right? I work nights. I enjoy working nights. And during the day, I try to capture as much sleep as I can, which is not a whole lot. But I know that those deficits are cumulative. There has to be one day where during the middle of the week or at the end of the week, where you do all the sleeping to catch up for what you lost. Your body, if you're trained like myself, you may be able to get by. I mean, I'm working in the brain, spinal cord, stroke injury part of the hospital, which means I have to be 10 times faster in responding to every threat or every phone call that I get from a nurse or a text than if I was working on a regular floor. And I haven't failed not once to respond appropriately. That means there is opportunity and room for you to presume you're a superhuman being, but you must know that the deficits still accumulate and you must make up for that sleep time, which means have a log time to evaluate how much time you sleep in a week. roughly you should end up with 49 to 56 hours of sleep. And by the way, for those who have experienced burnout, one of the cures that we found to burnout, and there was a paper, I think I'll mention that and end here, was that there was a paper published, one in 2021 in Taiwan, and they showed that if you worked 60 hours, you are at double the risk of developing burnout compared to someone who worked 40 hours. And there's so many ways through which lack of sleep parallels burnout. So not only will you burn out if you don't get enough sleep, even before you burn out, you'll start displaying behaviors, or rather, even the adverse effects of not getting enough sleep, like I mentioned, having accidents, making poor decisions, even in choosing the kind of spouse that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Not getting enough sleep can actually make you mess up and marry the wrong person. And I'm going to yield the mic here. Thank you, Ms. Jordan.
Oh, now, Dr. Caxton, you can't just leave it like this. That the lack of sleep will make you find the wrong person. Give us at least one more minute about. Is that how you got the modality for divorce medicine? Come on.
So, a lot of people recognize the value of powerful decision and transformational life making decisions at the most crucial moment of your life. One of the biggest decisions you're going to make after your profession is the choice of a partner. And I've been teaching people on how to choose a mate, how to be ready for marriage, even if you don't have a mate. And I can tell you, I'll say look at the divorce rates. More than 70% of the people who get married this year are going to choose a person who is not right for them. So they were now going to use all their energy to struggle to stay together.
Wow.
Either they choose someone who's right for them or not right for them. That's a 50-50 chance. Someone who's not ready for them, even if it's right. And someone who's not able to relate well with them. Now, this is what I call the 3R, and I actually have a club on Clubhouse called the 3R Club, and we talk about those things and drill further down. If you marry the wrong person, you're going to have sleepless nights in your home with that person because you fight. And how does that pan out the next year?
I think that's got to be the April or May topic. Let's get into this. Healthy relationships. I love that, and I thank you for that. Just giving us that little tickler. It was so amazing. And guess what, Dr. Caxton? Yes, okay. Absolutely. Dr. Caxton, we're going from Texas to Toronto with the lovely Natasha. My goodness, Holiday, thank you for coming back from the classroom, and let's just, bring us this joy like you do. Natasha, the mic is yours.
Hello, everyone. So nice to be here. And yes, because I've been teaching on Thursdays, it's nice that I have an opportunity to join this month. So, looking from a mental health perspective, and Dr. Caxton already talked about the affiliation with insomnia, with depression, thoughts of suicide. And one of the things that I always like to think about, and I talk to my clients about, is how our minds are like computers. So the things that we're thinking about, if we're thinking and we have trouble shutting it down, if you try to shut down your computer and it's running a program, it's not going to shut down. And often we have trouble sleeping because the amount of stuff going on in our minds. So it's really important to look at what's going on in my thinking. Am I busy worrying about something? Am I thinking about what I did today? Am I worried about what I have to do tomorrow? Kind of tapping into what is my brain busy with, because then that helps you address how to slow it down and to settle it. And I think one of the reasons we struggle even more so is we get into this idea of, first and foremost, most people do the same. If you are having trouble sleeping, you look at the clock and you start calculating how much time between that moment and when you have to wake up. But what that does is it triggers more anxiety about, am I going to feel rested? Am I going to get enough sleep? So unintentionally, you're fueling the thing that's going to keep you awake versus helping settle yourself. So I often challenge people, don't look at trying to fix it, except that maybe you had a bit of trouble falling asleep. Don't stress yourself over trying to get to sleep, because in the trying, you actually activate your brain more sometimes, which makes it harder to settle to sleep. but instead looking at what things will help you settle, what things will help you release the concerns about maybe what you have to do tomorrow, whether that's you make a list so that you're not worried about forgetting something. Maybe if you're thinking about what happened that day and we go over things sometimes to go, how did I do? What did people think? How do you release that stress of, how I performed or what have you, so that your brain can start to settle, so that the programs start to shut down, so that you can ultimately shut down to be able to sleep, right? So people talk a lot about things like mindfulness, and, a big part of that's the not judging and the directing your attention kind of into one place. So if part of the reason you're having trouble sleeping is your mind's jumping from topic to topic to topic, what can you intentionally focus on to try to bring your attention into one space to hopefully help settle your brain a bit better to be able to go to sleep? So these are some of the things that I kind of talk to my clients about, and even tell myself. With myself, I approach it from a humorous perspective, because I'll have the random night where I have trouble sleeping, and I feel like I've got like a 6-year-old version of me trying to talk to me about just all kinds of random stuff. It's like, okay, and then this, and then this, and then this. And I'm like, okay, not the time to talk about it. Let's put that aside for now. And so that's kind of in my mind how I imagine those random nights where I have trouble sleeping, but my brain is just jumping from any number of topics, and it's learning to go, okay, well, now is not the time that I want to do this. I can pick this up later if need be, but right now, what is going to help me focus? If I'm worried about something, if I'm scared about something, what are some of the things that might help me sleep? One of the other things, because I've worked in hospitals like Dr. Caxton, and as a shift worker, I learned the association tricks that help me with sleep. So I used to use white noise. I used to turn a fan backwards so it wasn't blowing cold air at me, but my brain was associating the sound of the fan with something that happens when I sleep, right? I've used meditation apps. So sometimes there's different meditation apps that exist. I've used certain ones. I tend to find more effective for me if I listen to the same person on the app, because again, then my brain associates that specific voice with sleeping. I always just worry then, what if I meet somebody in real life who sounds just like that? Because I don't want to be yawning just because they sound similar to the person that I use in my meditation app. But I found that certain things that associate my brain with sleep, it becomes part of my routine and part of my consistency. And that's all part of your overall sleep hygiene. What are the things that you're doing routinely that promote sleep? You have to accept that sometimes it's not always going to be like that, but hopefully we're trying to go to bed around the same time, wake up around the same time, maybe decreasing screen time a certain amount of time before we try to settle to sleep, maybe not having the most activating, stimulating conversation and then trying to go to bed right after because your brain's still really activated. So what are the intentional steps to try to slow down your brain as you're moving towards sleep time, so that you can, that usually helps promote sleep for most. And just taking all of those things into consideration and really paying attention to, for you, what is the most helpful for you in terms of having that ongoing really good sleep and being able to fall asleep and ideally stay asleep for the night. We know things like, having to go to the washroom might interrupt that, but are you able to settle right back and go to sleep? And all of that is, as you learn your patterns, take into consideration what you need and taking those steps, because it's not exactly the same for everybody. So you really want to be paying attention to what is working specifically for you.
And consistency, and you work, and just take 30 seconds. You talk about humor with your sociology. How can we use humor before you go to sleep? There's got to be a 20-second tip you can give us.
Well, if you want to think about even how do you use humor, I would say just, are you intentionally engaging in something humorous or something that might be part of, not necessarily just trying to watch something funny. That's great. But maybe it's also an attempt to remove the thoughts of what were stressing you out if you're stressed out about something, right? Because again, it's probably easier to settle from that place of having released some stress with laughter rather than focusing on something that might be like stressing you out. So the humor might even be a distraction technique that's helpful in stepping towards that, settling your brain down.
Well, thank you for humor. Thank you for what you're doing for the next generation in those students, Natasha. And now we're going to some Belgian humor with Dr. Mike. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Hey guys, thanks for having me again. I was going to share three strategies with everybody that work for me and that I teach my mentees. And the first one is really what Natasha talked about, because I call it power routines, right? And for example, I got four types of routines during my day. I got a morning routine, an evening routine, a dream routine, and a biohacking routine. And it's all about getting into those habits. And many times I share those routines with people as a template, because my routine doesn't necessarily work for them, but they have an idea and they need to figure out what really works for them. So that leans into everything that Natasha just mentioned. But again, often there's many causes or a combination of causes why people can't sleep, can't fall asleep, can't stay asleep. But often, especially in my case, it's because our mind keeps going and we're unable to stop or to quit that mind. So, three strategies. Number one, we need to develop an evening power routine, because routines drive results, but intentional routines drive transformational results. And we need to all remember that the best evenings drive the best mornings drive the best days, and the best days drive the best life. So when it comes to the power routine, the evening power routine, or my evening power routine, I feel that it's necessary that we really intentionally take the time to wind down. So personally, I like to be in bed by 10 p.m. So at 9 p.m., I intentionally start to wind down, which means that social media goes off. My phone goes off too. I would only pick up if the kids call, because maybe they need something, but there's no more time for business. It's probably very bad idea to make business decisions when you're getting tired anyways. So, get rid of all the phone, the email, the social media, so you can start to wind down. Then I usually drink some hydrogen water, brush my teeth, and then I really go into bed or in the couch and take 20-30 minutes to do what I want to do, which is not focus on business, but maybe I want to watch a part of a podcast, or maybe I want to read a few pages, or maybe I just want to chat to my partner. Then after that, and I think this is one of the most important things that work for me, I do 3 minutes of visualization. And so I'm going to visualize the next 24 hours step by step. And so during that visualization, I'm making all the right decisions, because many times we go to sleep and we're worrying about tomorrow. Oh, I got to do this tomorrow. I can't forget to do this tomorrow. Or I'm worried about the meeting here, or decisions that I have to make there, or trying to get the kids to school on time. Whatever it is, that usually keeps us awake. Now, if we do 3 minutes of visualization before we go to bed and we make those right decisions, there's no need for our mind to be continue to be occupied with that, because we already made the decisions. We already know what's on our plate for tomorrow. And then after that 3 minutes of visualization, I usually do some get into an altered brainwave. I'm going to try to get into the delta stage, because the delta brainwave or stage is where we sleep deep. And today, luckily, we have many biohacking technologies that can really help us or facilitate even the average person to get there much quicker. So many times I use brain tap, or I use new calm, or I do some breath work, because like Natasha said, it's many times it's like, let's focus on one thing, and that way everything else gets blocked out, right? So if we do breath work and we need to focus on our breath, many times it gets our mind clear and empty. And at the same time, we get into deeper stages, which will promote our sleep. So that would be my strategy number one, is really develop your own power routine that works for you, including visualization, and trying to, just before you go to bed, get into the different brain wave, in this case, trying to get into the delta stage. Number two would be very simple. Not eating or consuming any food 3 to 4, maybe even 5 hours before you go to bed, because digestive efforts will take energy and will interfere with you trying to relax, your body trying to regenerate, recuperate, renew, and replenish. So I think, that's a very important thing to do, so your body, your physical body, also can relax when you're going to sleep. And the number 3 is actually something Jody mentioned. She started today's episode with environmental factors. And so what I had to do, and what I teach many people to do, is put everything in place to mitigate the damaging effects of electromagnetic frequencies and radiation, especially in your house. We can go over many tips, but we don't want to charge the phone on the nightstand. We want to do that somewhere else. We don't want to have any Bluetooth devices or wireless devices on. We probably want to sleep on something like I sleep. It's an anti-aging bed cover, which is grounded, which makes us one with Mother Earth. So it shields us from electromagnetic radiation and frequencies. And it basically also feeds negative ions into our body, etc. So those are my 3 steps: the power routine with the visualization, the not eating or consuming any food 3-4 hours before you go to bed, and really, shielding yourself from these environmental factors such as electromagnetic radiation and frequencies. Jody.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mike. We got 3 steps. We've heard about anxiety, calming the mind. We're all going to take a Sabbath and take 1 day off for real, and assimilate more sleep for burnout. Now, Dr. Mike, we're going from the sand in Ormond Beach to Sandy, Utah, with Renee Brown. Come on down, Renee. Welcome. I think you're still muted. Hold on a minute. I got you unmuted. There we go. Start over, dear.
All right. Well, so many great comments have been offered this far. Something that surprised me is that sleep disorders they're not only trending right now, but they're a part of a U.S. public health epidemic. So today I'm going to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it with a significant slant on mental health and well-being, since this is the industry where I come from. A curious finding, and this is a real curious finding, is that last year in neuroscience, it was found and discovered that microorganisms have the need to sleep. So brainless organisms such as bacteria and others not only have the need for sleep, but they can't live without it. So I want to kind of just peel back. What's sleep? Why do we need it? This is a time when the brain stores new information and gets both rid of physical and mental waste. So things like excess thoughts and memories, they're flushed in our sleep. This allows for clear thinking, more memory, and resilience in our waking hours. Mm-hmm. Nerve cells are able to communicate, reorganize themselves, so that truly and uniquely we're able to optimize our brain function. Cellular repair will also happen during this time, and it restores energy and regulates molecules like hormones and proteins. So back to how sleep affects our mental health. An easy way to visualize lack of sleep and how it directly affects our behavioral health is to imagine the feeling of being hangry, but with enough food. So we might have difficulty spelling, waiting, regulating, or losing the relationship of context and becoming overly emotional about something small because the large picture doesn't immediately occur in the relationship of what we see. And on this, I was thinking about some of the comments that Dr. Caxton has already made. So now, when we talk about distorted relationships, if I exaggerate the idea of this, what that eventually contributes towards is delusions, possible suicide, hallucinations. It's just, we don't think about it, but we need water, we need sleep, and then we need food and everything else. So if we rein this concept of relationships in a bit, so that we're not looking at hallucinations and that type of items, we're really looking at how 20% of the car accidents are caused today. So when we sleep, our brain activity, it increases our ability to be able to emotionally regulate and really to be able to enjoy stability as well. Now, what is a super cool concept and this is new, is that for the first time, we are exploring whether a lack of sleep causes mental health conditions or if it's truly the other way around. So this is truly rousing in thought, and it's going to be exciting to see the advances in research on this topic. Our centers right now, we specialize in assisting people with an integrated healthcare approach, so mental health and physical health at the same time. So I want to challenge anyone who has or might have an underlying mental health condition to double down on attention to sleep hygiene. This is one of the greatest opportunities that can improve anyone's mindset. A few statistics that expose the connection right now of mental health and sleep say that about like 50% of insomnia cases will result from anxiety, depression, and psychological stress. And around 75% of depressed people show symptoms of insomnia. Sleep research has also revealed that up to 80 and even 90% of the population with autism, toddlers all the way on up to adults, meet diagnostic criterion for sleep disorders. So another item is that there is an especially strong connection between PTSD and sleep. So people with PTSD frequently suffer from nightmares and experience a persistent hyperarousal, which can interfere with sleep. At least 90% of US veterans with combat-related PTSD have insomnia symptoms. So something to describe a little bit more about what Natasha was saying earlier is that insomnia may become an added source of worry and create what is called anticipatory anxiety, which just makes it just that much harder to fall asleep. Now, here's another sleep clincher. Many mental health conditions, they don't occur alone. Instead, they may co-occur, influence and interact together and cause a worse effect on sleep. One of the studies that I had read and I really enjoyed hearing more about was one that was done in Canada with over 10 million participants. It's one of the biggest studies in sleep. And what it pretty much revealed was that sleep deprivation affects behavioral health more so than even our physical health, of which I'm not even talking about today. So what I would like to say is that we do have options. There's sleep hacks. There's a variety of things that can be done, and some of you have touched on really a nice handful. But I know Confidence Tones will be coming up, our sponsor, that can definitely help. And I've looked into different neuromodulation devices as well that can help. I like the very simple solutions where we really don't need any medication. And it's not that I want to say don't take any medication. It's just that it tends to sedate us. It takes away the stages of sleep. And it really would be a whole other show to touch upon. But I'm pretty much going to close with, I'm going to challenge everybody to get something to measure where you're at currently, like a watch, there's rings, there's phone apps. I really like the idea of we can manage only what we can measure. And I also like the idea of knowing where you're at so that you know where you're going. So anyway, those are my thoughts on sleep today.
Wonderful. And that is a great testimony on mental hygiene. Renee, I loved it. I loved it. So from Sandy, Utah to the sands of California, I think, Dr. Bill, you used to play baseball, as I recall. Bat cleanup for us today, all right?
All right. Well, usually I was a leadoff hitter because I'd just get on base and let everybody else do the heavy work. But all the heavy work's already been done. So I just want to kind of reiterate everything. I love the information, and actually I love this subject because we were talking first and foremost about the foundations of health, and I think we're all health practitioners. We're dealing with people usually coming in with a symptom or a problem that they need help help with to fix themselves, because they're coming in with a dysfunction or a disorder. And I always start with the foundations of health. And if you don't have your foundations down, it is literally building a beautiful building on a crappy foundation. It will come tumbling down. And the redheaded stepchild of the foundations of health is sleep, because it's always something that, you know, will pull an all-nighter, or you know, I'm really having fun, I'm going to take this in, I want to binge watch, you know, whatever show you're watching, or there's something that will distract you while you're wide awake, that people will tend to just, well, sleep. I remember there was a Seinfeld episode. It said, well, this is morning guy's problem. I'm nighttime guy now, and I'm having fun, so that's his issue, and we'll just deal with it in the morning. And I always go back in that. A lot of times when I do the talk, I bring that up. So all the more mature people that remember Seinfeld, not you, Jody, because you're 60 done.
Yes.
But it's one of the things, and I think the first thing that we have to do is actually come to the realization of having some maturity to value our foundations of health. And all of us here, because we tend to be in the profession, we really value that. I mean, we go, wow, you know, we need our exercise and our sleep. We want to eat right. We're going to drink the good water. We're going to do everything. And I think the general public doesn't do that. And it's hard when people are distracted with their regular stuff. You know, can I pay the bills? I got to get the kids to work, is laundry, everything else. So helping people get the value, or actually value something, because until you value something, you're really not going to take the full blown action. And we can go back on and give tips and tricks of how to do this, but until they feel the pain or the need long enough, they won't take the action. One of the things that I always do, and we've covered this before, is one will affect the other. The brain is going to affect everything with the body, and the body's going to affect everything with the mind, and the mind will affect everything. This is, I call myself the holistic hippie, is because there's no doubt that the body is self-regulating, it's self-healing and everything, as long as we give it what it's need. I was listening to Mike, and I'm going, yeah, me and Mike could spend the whole weekend together and have a perfect time, because we do just about the same thing. We've got to build up that health routine. And I don't like the term health hygiene. It's good, but I tell my patients the health or the sleep discipline. Do these things all the time, just like you have a morning routine, you should have a night routine. And I do the same thing as Mike. I start to shut down the day. I try to get myself into a parasympathetic thought process. And since sleep is physical, it's chemical, emotional, I get my physical stuff doing. I'll start, turning down the lights, stopping that, any stimulus coming into the brain, anything that's going to set me off, start the pineal gland, start firing properly. I'll start doing breath work, which is movement of the phrenic nerve, which is also calming. The number one thing that we can do to shift our physiology is going to be our breath, of the other foundation that we have. And we can start to bring that down. I start to, I'll do candles and incense. So I have a stimulus that this is a cue that the body's shutting down. We're not going to be worrying about chatter. I'll journal first of more, and you can do this however you'd like, whatever is best. But as an auditory, visual, or a kinesthetic person, I'm a kinesthetic chiropractor. So, we're always doing that. So I'll write down my wins, my losses for the day, whatever I'm thinking, because a lot of people will go back over and they'll say, well, I got a million thoughts going through my head and I just can't turn it off. And in reality, you don't. You probably have 3, but you think about them from every worst case scenario. Well, did I leave the gas on? And if the gas is on, the house will explode, and that's going to piss off the neighbors. And then I'll have to get in the neighbor. Then that's a lawsuit. Well, how about I find you'll start getting this monkey mind. And when you realize if you start writing things down, you usually can work things out really well. And as long as you know that it's in a safe place, you won't stay up at night going, I have to remember that for the morning. If you have a trusted system, again, discipline, that can take a lot of that mental worry away. When I actually get into the environment, it's dark. My room is between 63 and 68 degrees. I try to get my body temperature down to drop a degree or two that sets off that circadian rhythm, or kind of rides the circadian rhythm. Your skin has photosensors on there. So if your environment's not in the right, if there's any dark coming on, it will affect your sleep. It may not wake you up if you have, the light shining on your leg or something, but it will definitely have a stimulus going on. And then the last thing is I go through gratitude. I'm like, why was today so awesome? And how am I going to make tomorrow even better and more enjoyable? I'm so excited. And then I give myself permission to go to sleep. And I realized early on that my thoughts are not who I am. I mean, I used to think that I could fly when I was, I'd watched Superman when I was 4, and I soon found out that that's not true. But somehow we tend to believe that the world's going to come to the end because we had a negative thought. So we kind of learned those lessons, and I don't distract myself from thoughts. I disassociate, and there's a difference from when you distract them. You're still they're still there, but I'm squirrel over here. So if I'm not paying attention to it, but if I disassociate and I'm looking at it as a third person, it doesn't have any power. So I allow myself to do that. And of course I exercise, and like Mike said, make sure that we're eating right and we're eating in good timing and putting our bodies in tow. But everybody's going to be a little bit different. But if you take whatever works for you in those 3 disciplines, they'll tend to work good, because our brain, we need to take better care of our brain. And like Renee was saying, at night is when we detox our brain. We take what we've learned from short term, from our RAM memory, into our long-term memory. This is where we're getting everything out. We're detoxing. There's cellular turnover. This is healing. We're actually getting better when we sleep. So if we think about, if we don't sleep, we're not getting any better, and entropy will take over.
And the entropy is not in your brain and in your sleep, because you've gone from cleanup hitter to and you've advanced from leadoff hitter. So thank you, Dr. Bill. And we are going to take one break with our sponsor, with their new project, Ignite Humanity. This is from Ignite Publishing, my publisher. And let's watch how we can be a part. If we take care of our brains and our insomnia, we will be igniting humanity. Take a look, take a listen.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.
And now we have our lightning round, our 30-second lightning round to just share what's going on. So I'll say, Natasha, give us our last word about anything insomnia or what you've got going on.
Nothing specific going on that I can speak to coming up. what again, just for insomnia, and thank you. I think it was Mike who talked about winding down, and Dr. Bill as well. What are the things we're doing intentionally to slow the brain down as we're approaching sleep, so that we're not trying to sleep? It kind of more comes naturally.
The natural sleep to the natural unburnout man. Thank you, Natasha, for what you bring in the world, for sure. And Dr. Caxton.
Yes, thank you. You know, most people don't realize this. And the drug companies that have all the money to do the research won't tell us this. But I'll tell you. There was a study done recently that showed that the brains of mice, right, when they get enough sleep versus when they don't get enough sleep, there is a protein that's prominently found in patients with Alzheimer's. And in brains that are deprived of sleep, this protein doesn't get cleared from the brain interstitial fluid. What does that mean? When you take mice to man, it means getting enough sleep can actually reduce the risk of Alzheimer's. You're never going to hear any drug company tell you that.
No.
But I believe that's a fact.
Are you a mice or a man? Pass the cheese. Make sure that you get enough sleep. Dr. Caxton, and you go online, you will find his number of books. I think it's up to 20. He writes a book a month. Such a prolific and amazing man. I tell you, Renee, thank you for giving us gender equality. We're 50-50 today for sure. Renee, what is your mental hygiene or your just 1 minute moment here? I'd love to hear. You're still unmuted. There we go. You're unmuted. Okay. Ready to go.
Okay, there's a few new products that caught my attention, and one was a bed pad that is really comfortable, designed to sleep on, and that's cooling, because to keep cool during the night really assists with good and healthy sleep. Another product that caught my attention was one that would allow the bed to tilt. And what that does is it's during the night that we can really release a lot of toxins, digestion, metabolism, all of those great things. They happen at night. And with a tilted bed, that actually assists us in so many ways. So that was another product that just caught my attention.
Beautiful, because we want to share. Thank you. Mental hygiene to a cooling bed. And back to you, Dr. Bill. Start over, Dr. Bill. There we go.
No, it was hard to figure out all these buttons. One thing I'd like to go over and just kind of piggyback what Renee and Mike were saying earlier was it's the negative ions. And we can use a lot of things. I have a grounding mat too in my bed, get those negative ions, keep cool. We can go full hippie and take off your shoes and go walk in the park and get in touch with nature and do that grounding. Pulling those negative ions will always help you sleep better. And everybody knows that, because if you've ever been camping or around a large body of water for a long period of time, the next day you always wake up early, refreshed, and ready to go. And that's our natural state. When we crave feeling like awesome, instead of waking up every day thinking that I feel all right and this is normal, raise your standards and go get after it.
Raise your normal, either move from California to Florida. And I know, speaking of beach, Mike, you've got an upcoming event. Please tell us about it.
Yeah, that's actually going to be Labor Day weekend. It's 5 nights, 6 days in the jungle in Costa Rica. And it's a transformational event where we mostly going to teach people about upgrading their body, mind, and life. And the focus is on breath work and, making the blueprint in your mind for your life, writing the last chapters of your book, visualization, manifesting. So it's going to be a very... transformational trip for those who want to check it out. The website is there, and we have people registering right now because we only have a few limited spots. Of course, we'll have some masters attending in their specific disciplines to make this one of a kind trip, Jody.
Well, and I know you're a travel guy besides being in the healing arts. And I tell you, I want to just thank you all for the transformation, what you do, not only for me just being in my life, but what you do in the world. And frankly, when I think about it and I come back from 1985 now to here, it's just been absolutely a joy and a pleasure to be on this journey of health and healing. And as you see the banner on the bottom, this is the healthopedia.net. You can get the information on how to be a part. We have our initial Zoom on our Foundations of Health book. The project's kicking off. Mike, we can go ahead and do your retreat because we'll be finishing up that project in the book chapter in September. Who knew how this all fits together? But next month, because it's Women's Health Month, and I thought, well, there's menopause, women's, but there's andropause. Let's talk about truly on Women's Health Month, menopause, between the difference between men and women. It will be on the 23rd of March, right here on Traverse TV. You can check out the YouTube channel of mine, Dr. Jodee, that's spelled Jodee. We're back in full swing since I had to take a hiatus for 3 weeks to finish up my solo book that will be coming out in April. But we're back on Mondays with Mindset Monday. I'll have international best-selling author Cindy Tank Murphy talking about suicide because she experienced it with her dad and how to get on the other side of grief. And tonight, Thursday, boy, this is a one that keeps insomnia going. Sometime we've had Kerman Maroney, who is an absolute wizard at credit, how to establish your credit, personal, business, but also to manage and get it cleaned up with AI. And I can just say, remember, ladies and gentlemen, as we close, to mind your health as you're achieving all your goals and dreams while you're minding your wealth, so that at the end of your life, you're not giving all your wealth, trying to regain and focus on your health. You work and we work to live. We started just living to work then, if we've gone up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But then within insomnia tidbits and all the unconscious competency of this group today, we've now learned how to live, not live to work. No, not work to live. Let's live to live and do it in the most fashionable and abundant macro life. And all of these tips and knowledge comes from your micro living. It is necessary, as Les Brown says, to do what only you can do. No one does it but you. No one else. I want to plug Les Brown in my last closing moments. He is doing a seminar, which I am proud to be a part of, with NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness, this weekend. I'll be talking about how actually nutrition impacts anxiety and impacts mental illness. So check this out. It's going to be an absolute star-filled time. So we've gone from California to Florida, from Toronto to Texas, back up to Utah to close this in Central Florida. I want to thank our sponsors, Confidence Tones, one more time. Also, Ignite Publishing. And you can get in touch with each and every one of us through healthopedia.net now. Our mission and our vision. Just remember to always have a healthy day, insomnia-free, and do it. Do it. How do we do it? We do it the absolute, I've got to say, Healthopedia way. So until next Thursday, the 23rd of March, when Dr. Michael Pierce will be back with these group of people, just say, give us a wave. Ciao for now. This is Dr. J saying, have a healthy day.